Carol Roth, like I said, we used to have kind of a semi-jovial, call it bipartisanship, that there was a bipartisan kind of conversation. And then at some point she took great offense at a thumbnail, and that was that. And was it a learning experience for either of us? No. No, because I made my point that I believe that if you support the policies of Donald Trump, you vote for Donald Trump, you agree with everything he says, even when you know it doesn't make sense, then you are, for all practical purposes, a supporter of Donald Trump. Right? I think we all learned this from Alan Dershowitz, who, thank God, he finally stopped bullshitting us all that he was a Democrat, which he's been doing for years, and just came out as a scumbag. And everybody was like, goodbye. Right. But he wanted everybody to believe that it's not that I'm a supporter of Donald Trump. I'm a Democrat. But I believe just on principle. Right. Bullshit. And he was always on that fucker side. They were both friends with Jeffrey Epstein. He fucking got massages at Epstein's house. God knows where he flew with him and blah, blah, blah. Right. Just gross. Wrote a fucking op-ed about how we need to lower the age of consent. Like, piss off. Stop it. You don't get to register as a Democrat, vote Republican every time, and then you use the fucking label. That's not how it works. Except I guess it does in maggot world, because you don't actually have to believe what Donald Trump believes at all. You can just suck up to him, and as long as you're wearing the fucking hat, he doesn't care what's going on inside the head, inside the hat. He doesn't care whether you're flim-flamming him or not. You're a walking billboard for him. That's all that matters. Now, the Fed lowered the interest rate half a basis point, or 5 basis points, half a point, and is more than likely going to lower it a quarter point, maybe by Christmas, perhaps another one right after the beginning of the year, probably a full point between now and the spring at least, right? Because they're trying to bring in this soft landing, doing a fine job actually in that respect. Now, in terms of the shit that's actually within their power, because there's a lot of stuff outside. That said, that news was not good news to everybody, especially the folks that are hoping that the Fed would wait until after the election to do it, so that they could use it politically and say, see, that they were waiting till Donald Trump won, so that they could lower the interest rate, some shit like that. And instead, the Fed just did their job at this pace that they thought they should do it at. I thought they should have been doing it faster. The right-wing thinks they should have been doing it slower. Apparently, they chose the Goldilocks porridge path, right? Not too hot, not too cold, just right. That's what they're shooting for. All right. And fine, whatever. That said, this is... explained, thank God, they're going to explain it to us. And I need an explanation. Why the Fed lowering interest rates might be a bad sign. ... Please, Carol Roth, Glenn Beck, probably Stu, distracted on social media, and whoever else, please chime in and explain to us how the Fed doing something that everybody was expecting them to do for a fucking year, finally getting around to it, is terrible.
Welcome to the program, Carol Roth. I'm hoping you can make sense and maybe some good news out of what happened yesterday, because...
Bullshit. No. Glenn is not hoping that she will come up with some good news. Glenn is hoping for bad news. Glenn is hoping for the exact same fucking freak out that Maria Bartiromo had. And CSL, I don't know if we have that in the thing. I didn't have to go back very far in our list of possible clips today to find some fucking gold. So if that's in there, could we repost it? Maria Bartiromo reacting to this 0.5 because glorious.
Because I can't find a way to it because of the history of cutting the interest rate this much. My first thought was, this is election interference by the Fed.
Because you hope it is.
Then my second thought was, when did they last do this? And it didn't lead, neither of those lead to good things. So what's really going on here, Carol?
Yeah, tell them, Carol. Tell them that they raised the interest rate by like 2-3 points in a very short order, And so instead of being upset that they rose it that fast following the pandemic to try and stabilize the economy, and that they maybe have waited too long to start easing it back in, let's just assume they're in the tank for Harris because fucking nobody knows.
Well, first of all, Glenn, I just want you to know that I am unburdened by what has been, and now the market is in terms of interest rates, because we are in a rate cutting environment. And I think the important thing to remember is that when we talk about,
Okay, so Carol's coming right out of the gate with a douchey anti-Harris gag, and followed immediately by a placating statement devoid of meaning.
Rate hikes, rate cuts, anything the Fed's doing, we have to keep it in context. And the backdrop is that we came out of 15 years of what's called ZIRP, zero interest rate policy.
Right.
Where the interest rates were at or near zero, unprecedented, as well as the Fed putting $9 trillion plus on its balance sheet. So this is an unprecedented, does not have an analog that we can directly compare.
Right, because there was a whole pandemic thing that caused, they didn't just, by the way, I think Carol would be the first to admit that they didn't just add $9 trillion to their balance sheet for the fuck of it out of nowhere, right? There was obviously something massive that preceded such a thing. And what preceded such a thing? A $20 trillion hole in the U.S. economy. And again, anybody who thinks you can plug a $20 trillion hole with $9 trillion probably thinks Stormy Daniels had the night of her life.
Not to say that it's not important to go back and look at what's happened historically, but it doesn't mean exactly the same thing. And cutting 50 basis points or 0.5% today is different than when we're cutting it when interest rates are at 2%. So I just want to.
Yeah. It would be that. And also all these other, Glenn, you're a fucking moron because you tried to present this concept to her based on your understanding of things without factoring in the global pandemic we all just went through. You guys know, that's one of my things. Fucking when the Bloomberg economists finally caught up after 2 fucking years to what I'd been saying and went, maybe, I don't know, this whole pandemic thing might have had a bigger impact than we thought. They're trying to make me go insane,
To put that out. I also am somebody who, as you know, have said on this program many times that I think the Fed's been way behind the curve. I think that.
Right. They should have done it sooner. See, look, Carol, we agree again. Look at you being sort of sensible here. In spite of what your boss is insisting on, I guess.
They went up too high and that they were too slow to cut to begin.
I'm fine. I'm okay.
So we'll put that from a backdrop standpoint.
I'm okay. I'm all right. These people. Woo!
So how does the market interpret, and how should individuals interpret a cut? Well, there's
here's how should they? Matter of opinion. Carol, how did they interpret it? The S&P went to its highest ever. The Dow broke another record, and I'm guessing the Nasdaq's not far behind. Sorry, it was the Nasdaq that hit the ultimate record, and the S&P's not far behind. That's how they actually reacted. Tell us how they should have reacted.
The potentially the bad and potentially the good. So we'll walk through both of those real quickly.
Eden Pure.
Oh, fuck you and your stupid ads, Glenn, you prick. Yeah, don't try to. By the way, I'm just going to say, don't buy brain supplements from Joe Rogan, and for the same reason you don't buy health supplements from this motherfucker. Okay? He's always sick. And most of the time he's so red and puffy, I think he's got a shellfish allergy. Eden Pure. Shut the fuck up. What in the world? Okay. By the way, I it does not look like Glenn is taking this well, whatever she's saying.
Bad is the signal. When you are saying that the economy is doing amazing and it's just, it's ripping along, and then to do a very large cut, they could have done half of that. They could have done 25 basis points, but to come out after not doing anything and say,
You just said they waited too long to do it in the first place, that they basically should have done a quarter basis point earlier this year, followed by a second quarter basis point now, which would have been the two. That just means that they're finally catching up to agreeing with the... I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm going to be fine. It's all right. Excuse me 1 second, would you? I'm all right. You were saying...
we got to move 50 points, can send a signal to say things...
By the way, they didn't move 50 points. That, I think, would be too much. 50 basis points, very different. But definitely not 50 points. I think we'd all agree, even a layman would say, don't go from 5% to negative 55%. Probably would be bad.
Things are not going so well.
Correct.
If you looked at the market...
Correct.
Yesterday, they were not taking the news so great, but...
it went up, and then when he cut it, it went way down.
And then they gave up back all the gains yesterday. Right. But today, they've had a day to digest it, and the market thinks that this is a good thing. Now, the market...
And Glenn sold right before it came out because they thought they were going to do this. And then he bought a bunch of stuff behind after it went down. No, sorry, the opposite. He bought a bunch of stuff because he thought it was going to crash, or it was going to go... Yeah. He sold a bunch of stuff because he thought it was going to crash, and then he bought others. I don't know what the fuck. He bought high and sold low is my point. I don't even know where you would jump into this little jag, but wherever the worst part was, he bought here, or he sold here. It did a big put on shit, and then he bought a bunch of stuff here, and then went expecting it to go down further. He put a put on stuff here, and then it collapsed, and he owes money on it. That's why his face is like that.
It's not the economy, so
Yes.
But again, after 15 years of zero interest rate policy, it does make sense.
And no pandemics, by the way. I'm just going to point that 15 years of low interest rates, and also 100 years of no giant worldwide pandemics in general. No offense, AIDS and possibly Ebola and the White Plague of tuberculosis in the 30s and 40s. But in terms of Spanish flu to COVID, pretty much those are the markers we're going to use for the big shit the bed pandemics. Yes? Sort of? Yeah? All right. I'm fine. Cleansing. Jesus Christ, these assholes.
For us to get back to what's considered a neutral rate.
Is this a inflationary move, though?
So that's the question. So if you think...
If it's an inflationary move, and she just said they waited too long to do it, are you accusing Carol Roth of inflationary economic policy? She's a guest. That's being... How rude are you, Glenn Beck? Not rude. What's the word I'm looking for? Stupid. That's the word I'm looking for. Fuck me.
Think about what the neutral rate is, which is theoretical. We don't know the number, but
whatever it is now, unless Trump is in office, it's bad.
Basically, it's the dividing line between policy that is restrictive and policy that is accommodative. Right. And what we're...
Yes, the Goldilocks policy that no one knows for sure, because just right is in the tongue of the beholder. Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. I'm sticking with that one.
We're trying to do is have the Fed have no influence in either direction. I believe that we are still in that restrictive area. So bringing it down from, to 4.75% to 5%, again, is not the same as bringing it down to 2%. And so I don't think that will cause inflation. We have to remember, too, again, going back to where I started, companies and individuals had 15 years to take out debt at basically no cost. This is sitting.
Yes, this is why Donald Trump is panicking. That and, being an adjudicated rapist and 34 fraud counts and real jail time showing up. But, I look, I'm not an economist. I'm not. As a matter of fact, I am, as a comedian and an artist, almost the opposite of an economist on a personal level, especially. Not my thing. However, taking that into account, I have been right this entire fucking time. Please continue.
On companies' balance sheets, they took every piece that they could. And consumers right now don't have a lot of runway.
By the way, Glenn does not know what the fuck she's talking about, and he's trying to find a way to make it bad, and he's not being successful, and so this is just depression.
So the idea of a rate cut unleashing massive demand when we've gone to 4.75% to 5%, I don't see this as something that's going to unleash massive demand.
So I can't. So it won't be giant inflationary thing, so I can't lie about that. Is there another way you can make this sound terrible? Because everything so far sounds like it should have happened sooner is the only problem you have. And I can't have someone coming on my show with luxurious long brown hair and talking like Hal Sparks, who also has luxurious long brown hair. God damn it. All right. I'm fine.
So I just love your opinion on this. As a
You're not going to like it.
businessman, I know I wouldn't be spending a dime right now on hiring, building, anything. Not
Okay. Because AI.
a dime until I see what happens at the election. And depending on the election, if we go with...
What if you need the stuff right now, stupid? What if you're experiencing actual growth and you're going to have to take on an... and by the way, you know what's best for Glenn Beck? If Kamala Harris wins. For his business model, for the Blaze, best thing that could ever happen to them. If Trump wins, they're one of many that just have to line up to suck Trump's nuts every couple of weeks and on schedule, and then attack some like liberals on fucking Twitter or some shit.
Harris, and we become much more restrictive and harder and more global and everything else. Then I'm just battening down.
Hey, stupid. What do you mean more restrictive? Oh, good Lord, Vincent. Thank you so much. I just got to say, if this motherfucker says but one more time, Vincent, you asked for it, and you're going to live to regret it, my friend. Here it comes. Just they're going to say restrictive again. And then tell me what it means. Glenn, hey, tell me what the fuck restrictive economic policy means, stupid. Tell me what it means. Tell me what it means in terms of the Fed raising and lowering interest rates. And explain it to Carol while we all watch her cry.
Down the hatches. If Trump gets in, I'd be willing to invest because, all right, good. We've got somebody who understands business. We can hire some more people, et cetera, et cetera.
Wait a minute. I thought you just said Trump would be the person that got in. Somebody that understands business? You mean like what? Casinos and crypto, you dumb motherfucker? Say, understands. You're trying to get me. Understands business. Understand. Have you read Art of the Deal? Well, guess what, Glenn? Neither has Trump.
Etc. I don't see anybody making those moves rationally, no matter what the interest rate is. at this point. Do you?
Hey, stupid. First of all, there's going to be an oil glut next year, and everybody fucking knows it except you. And maybe you know it, and you just don't want to talk about it because you bought fucking stock in some shit, and you're just afraid people will find out what a dumbass you are. Secondly, if the rate's going down now, it's going to keep going fucking down now. They're not going to keep it at 5% or 4% forever. They know it's going to continue to go down. They're ready to bring it back down. That means it's going to be more liquid next year. Of course, you're not going to start borrowing money right now. You're going to wait 6 months for it to drop 1.5 points. You dipshit. Fuck me. What's growth at the Blaze besides you and fucking Stu doing laps at the Sonic drive-thru?
I think that's a logical way to digest it. I think that in terms of one of your first statements is this political? The Biden-Harris administration are going to be pushing out and saying, look, we've got inflation under control. The Fed said so. Otherwise, they wouldn't have lowered it by so much.
So does someone saying it's political and taking credit for it being political, or a political operative taking credit for it, does that inherently make it political? Does it do that? Does it? No.
So I think that is the push that they're going out and trying to convince people. Now, they've been trying to convince people of things that make absolutely no sense for the last 3.5 years.
That's right. Yeah, it makes no sense the stock market has gone up to 42,000. It makes no sense that Truth Social stock is in the shitter. It makes no sense that unemployment is at an all-time low and has maintained a stretch at 4% or below for the longest stretch in 60 fucking years. It makes no sense because I thought these people were communists. And Donald Trump told me that the second Biden gets in, you're going to see a 1929 crash like nobody's ever seen before. Right away. Tick-tock, motherfucker. The election's coming, and this asshole's going to be out of office. What the shit?
So, if I'm a business person, do I go?
You're not?
Go ahead and make the investments? Probably not, but are there some people who might? It's a push. But I do think, the challenge is it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that if you...
Oh, God. Here it comes.
You get worried that there is a recession and you create these restrictive behaviors that becomes self-fulfilling.
Right.
And that's when...
Wait. So you're blaming Glenn now? Wait, so if Glenn Beck continues to tell people we're in a recession, headed for a recession, there's going to be a recession, but we're already in one. If you think about it, we've already been in one for a long time. It's been nothing but a recession. It's a terrible, terrible recession. And if Harris gets in, it's going to be even worse, a double down recession. And telling people that might actually trigger one. So basically what you're saying to Glenn Beck is shut the fuck up.
One of the things that we end up worrying about.
All right, so let me just ask you one more thing.
Don't do it. I thought the first two questions were going to be fucking stupid. And now he thinks he's got an even better one. Oh, God.
He mentioned the problem with unemployment. Unemployment's going on because you just added 7 to 20 million people to, the country.
What? How does that, what? Sorry. When did they just add 7 to 20 million people in the last 6 months? Is that what happened, Glenn? It's been riding along all this time. It starts to eke up a touch, like a quarter point, and suddenly, when the fuck did these motherfuckers show up, asshole? When? 7 to 20 million people? They showed up in the last 3 months? You dick.
Even
Carol Roth had to exhale her pain.
People are saying anecdotally that...
Anecdotally? Excuse me real quick. I'm not familiar with that word. Say anecdotally again.
People are saying anecdotally.
Anecdotively. Anecdotively. He's trying to make me nuts. That's what he's doing. He's just trying to... That's what he's doing. Just wind me the fuck up. Anecdotively. Anecdote. What the fuck?
It is, I mean, people are saying anecdotally that.
I don't care. I don't care what they're saying anecdotally. I don't care what they're saying anecdotally. You can't talk about why the Fed, that runs the largest and most powerful currency in the fucking world, has made a decision, but anecdotally, anodynum, have said, anatomically, say that this is coming out of my ass.
And we are, I guess, seeing it in numbers that the jobs that are being filled with illegals and not.
Jobs filled by people who are undocumented do not show up on employment records. They are paid under the table, and no one is tracking the unemployment level of people that are not even here in the first place. What the fuck are you talking about?
American citizens. How long can that go on before it's...
But yes, how long can this thought go on in your fucking cranium before it becomes magically true?
It's just, an absolute wreck.
Oh, God. Glenn. I could call you Glenn, can I? Perhaps you should think about hiring some people at the Blaze. Perhaps someone who can ring a bell every time you're being an asshole to train the behavior out of you in a Pavlovian kind of a way. Perhaps some research assistance. Maybe that. Maybe some paid interns who actually like to fucking read.
So the way that I've interpreted the economy is I see it as K-shaped. If you think about the
oh dear
letter K, you have, that one part of the K that goes up and the other part that goes down.
Yeah, so, believe me, Glenn is familiar with Ks. They often come in threes when he envisions them. Please continue.
And you have the people who are at the lower end of the K who have been struggling, and the people who are at that higher part of the K, the asset holders, the people with the white collar jobs and the homes who have been doing well. And you have to remember that what we've been...
What's the back part of the K? Who's skyrocketing? Is that the billionaires? So this is the millionaires are the up part. Hold on, how do I fucking do this? I do it this way. I walk like an Egyptian. All right, so you got a K, right? There's the K, this part, and then this part. So the poor people are going down, 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 even though they're not. They've added $3 trillion worth of wealth in the last 4 fucking years, right? There you go. And I'm giving credit to the Democrats who gave the bill that helped people during the pandemic. They had a little bit to their... It's sort of a flat K. It's a very poorly drawn K, but we'll work on that. So this part of the K is the poor people. The well-to-do people are doing kind of a Laura Ingraham, let's just say. You think you're going to catch me doing that whole gesture, you can go fuck yourself. So that's poor people and well-to-do people. And then who's this over here? Elon Musk? Just billionaires just fucking skyrocketing? Is that how this K-shaped fucking recovery goes? I gotta say, it sounds like your K-shaped recovery is in cursive, you weirdo.
Been seeing is it really is that higher part of the K that has been pulling the economy along. So not only do we have those illegal...
No, it hasn't. Or we wouldn't have 4% unemployment. We'd have there's no point where those people's baseline goes up if they don't have to hire more people, which makes this part go up. Good Lord.
Illegals who are coming in and creating drains on everything, right?
Drains on everything. Yeah. Like, are you sure? Carol, you wouldn't consider changing your name to maybe Karen Roth?
Creating drains on employment, on the
There's not a drain on unemployment. There's a million unfilled jobs. There's not a drain on employment.
national debt, on housing, on everything. But we're also starting to see these cracks in the white collar labor market.
You mean the assholes who put all their money in crypto and then got wiped out, and that took out some of those stupid regional banks?
You hear Amazon saying, oh, we want everybody back in the office. It means that companies now have the power to demand that when they didn't have the power. And buried in that statement.
Sorry, that's your big sign that the economy is crashing because employers can ask their employees to come back to work 5 days a week instead of 4. That's the big crash. That's the cratering economy. That's your idea. That's what you're going with. You're going with the fact that Amazon can demand, they have access to workers enough where they can demand people work in the office 5 days a week.
It was, oh, we're trying to get rid of some managers. We've seen more and more layoffs on the tech side. So if we see that crack from the
because of AI. Maybe she means, maybe AI to her means artificial immigrants. You know what I did there?
White collar piece, I think, at least in the short term, that's going to have the biggest impact on shifting what's going to happen here. And I think that's what the Fed is signaling they're trying to get.
Okay, excuse me, Carol. While I disagree with what you're saying on a moral, ethical, and intellectual level, that doesn't really matter right now because Glenn didn't hear a word you were saying, and it started focusing on how his left knee sort of hurts right now and his lower back is hurting and he's not quite sure why, and maybe there's a salve he can buy, but he doesn't have time to drop by the store, so he's going to send one of the people at the Blaze that he didn't want to hire in the first fucking place to go pick it up afterwards. Basically what was going on in his head was, you know, that monkey with the cymbals that goes eep, eep, eep. That's what he heard.
Ahead of whether or not they can do that remains to be seen because usually they're always late. But it's true. We have a drag on both sides. We have that drag that's happening on the white collar piece. And then we have this massive illegal immigration that's putting strains on the system. And
the system.
You know, that is going to, completely shift things. And I will say
that is going to, completely shift things. Is it?
Glenn, we hear all of these people talking about, technology and AI and how it's going.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, there's people, you hear about all of these people talking about technology and AI and stuff and blah, blah, blah. Look at Glenn. Eyes fucking rolling back in his head. Thanks, Carol, for another topic. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm completely lost. Please stick to one thing I don't understand at all at a time.
Going to replace jobs. If you think that it's going to replace jobs, the jobs that they're going to replace are unskilled workers, right? The person who's making your burrito at Chipotle.
Why would AI replace somebody making a fucking burrito, you dumbass? AI can't make a burrito. AI can do accounting. AI can do paralegal work. AI can do a lot of white collar and sort of white collar work, programming, all kinds of stuff, marketing, shit like that. Can't make a fucking burrito. Say burrito again, you dumb motherfucker. Fuck me. God, they're just trying to make me nuts today. That's what's happening. I'm okay.
And the like, you could possibly make an argument that we do not need any more legal immigration in this country, with the exception of some very high merit-based people at all.
Hey, asshole, if we have AI, why do we need high merit-based people? What do you mean? Mathematicians? Programmers? Jesus Christ. Those are the two things you can use AI and machine learning for the easiest. We need fucking people to make burritos, dummy. And by the way, congratulations on picking the worst food analogy you possibly could pick. Because Jesus Christ, woman, if you wanted somebody to picture what job could somebody crossing the Mexico-American border could do, making a burrito is fairly high up there, I think, for most people. They'd go, actually, I don't know. They probably could make a pretty good, damn good burrito. I mean, I think last time I was down in El Paso, I had probably the greatest burrito I ever had, followed by the biggest stint in a bathroom I've ever had. But that's not important.
In addition to...
What are you mm-hmming about, you dumb motherfucker? Say mm-hmm again. Pretend to listen again. You look at him staring off into the fucking middle distance like a character in Apocalypse Now who's about to say something vaguely violent and poetic.
To this, travesty that's happening with the illegal immigration. So this is going to be, hopefully we can get President Trump in there. But this needs to be attacked in a serious fashion because it's going to have massive implications for the economy on top of the biggest issue, and it feeds right into it, which is the debt and the deficit spending that continues to grow that debt, the fact that that's unwieldy. So all of these...
Real quick, ma'am, if I may, Carol, is it? When you have debt and you need to pay off that debt, is a high interest rate better or a low interest rate better? In a situation where you might have perceptibly too much debt and you want to pay off some of that debt, what's better? A higher interest rate or indeed a lower interest rate? Dang, 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 dang. Dang, 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 dang.
Things are puzzle pieces, but we can't let the noise about a Fed rate cut or what's happening distract us from that big issue.
Right. So in case you're just catching up, what she basically said was, this is good news, but we can't let the good news obscure the bad news that we're trying to sell. That, by the way, Trump is largely responsible for in terms of the national debt. Almost a third of it, just him.
We need to grow the economy and we need to reduce spending so we can get debt to GDP back to a normal.
So you're for the Chips and Science Act, is what you're saying.
Level and be able to save our country.
All right. Talk about word salad. Ladies and gentlemen, we needed a sneeze guard while she walked along that salad bar and slapped that whole thing together. Look at her face. She knows she just spent a lot of time saying nothing. Now it's time for Glenn to try to digest some of this when he's got diverticulitis of the brain.
Carol, thank you. Appreciate it. Carol Roth, the author of You Will Own Nothing.
Just broom her the fuck out. That was the answer. So instead of Glenn going, I hear you, I understand you, but what about this pithy little point? Perhaps, maybe, in some situations, there might be a thing that we could do that would... No, fuck that. I didn't hear any of that, and even if I did, I wouldn't understand it, so goodbye.
Former investment banker and contributor
to her local IKEA, actually. That's IKEA. I think those are... Is that the Besta? I'm fairly certain it is.
Blaze, and also to this program. I just love her.
So you are hiring. Gotcha.
Explains things the way, people like me talk, or just regular people.
You mean in word salad, gibberish, with untethered from any sense of reality? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you're right. She does. You're absolutely right, Glenn. Congratulations. She talks about the economy exactly the same way you do, from a position of ignorance, ego, and just a little blather sauce thrown on. Just words to fill the time.
Carol, thank you so much. It's carolroth.com/news. carolroth.com/news.
Don't you think they could find their way to the news on her site with a simple click? Why are you just sending them to one page, not the entire... Fuck you, Glenn. She's got a whole website and you're trying to slice off a little piece for yourself, you dick. And scene. Good Lord.